just wasn't there for the women for so long. And so, now as I can get, any clip I want any night, many, many games going on, how do you leverage the learning opportunity with those types of video clips, specifically for the female hockey audience? And, I think all of us here on this call have coached girls. It rings a little differently when you show them a clip of Poulin versus McDavid, two of the best players in the world, both great learning opportunities, but they see themselves differently when you watch Poulin do it versus McDavid do it. And they're just engaged at a different level. And I saw that right away when the PWHL launched last year on January 1st. Every camp I ran, you could say, oh, and Turnbull does this, or Nurse does this, or Spooner does this. And they are just, they nod, they know. Oh, yeah, I remember when they did that yesterday, or I saw that on the highlights today. So it's not a secret anymore. You don't have to go and search it out. And so, all these clips I've been putting together for 15 years from my own teams or trying to source, world championship footage, it's just so much more accessible now. And so whether that's using PWHL clips or things from the world championships or even lower level, like whether it's NCAA Division I, youth sports, I do think players and coaches will learn it differently when they see the women doing it. Oh, sorry, Wally, you're on mute.
On the line, I'm listening. Okay, I've got Sam on the line. She's listening, so she's trying to connect.
Awesome.
Kim, how long ago did you start working with video with young players?
What would you consider young players, Wally?
Well, at what age would you begin to do video work?
I mean, it really depends. I think you can send little clips to young kids, certainly when they're playing full ice. So like my daughters go to full ice officially next week. So I think, when they're still in half ice hockey, you can teach them some conceptual stuff, but it still doesn't look like the same sport. So it probably, at least that would be the barrier to entry on the low level. But I think it's more about how you teach from the clip. So what I'm hoping to do in these clips, and I have some examples today, is I do a lot of voiceover and I try to put a little, quick hits of info, overlaid on the video. So trying to make it like I've always done with Total Female Hockey, like very user friendly, and you can take it and use it right away. So it's not just a clip without any sort of annotation or any leading by me. Often it's going to be, well, here's what everybody did in that shootout. Watch every shooter. Here, watch what their foot's doing. Watch what their leg's doing. So kind of walking them through it. And that's the whole point of what I'm doing now with the Orange Machine, is to really make it as easy to use as possible. So the coach, the player, whoever's watching it can take it and use it right away. They're not going to have to read a long manual or, how do I figure out how to fit this into my plan? They could just forward that clip onto their team and it's already done because I've already done all the work. I'm doing the talking. It's sort of just taking, I guess, my role as a kind of a trusted source in the women's game and just passing it forward. So someone can say, oh, well, Coach Kim said this. Not that I'm always right, but Coach Kim said this. And it kind of gives, those coaches, those players, those parents, some trust that they're getting the right stuff and that they can use it right away. As opposed to, maybe seeing something else on social media or something else online and you're not really sure if it applies because it might be the guys playing or it might be, narrated by a coach who only coaches in the men's game. And, I just posted a video about shootouts and I don't know what it's like on a bench with guys because I've never been on a bench with guys when the shootout comes, but you could not see girls get any smaller, any quicker and hide any faster than when the shootout comes. I mean, the majority of them in minor hockey do not want to shoot in the shootout, even if they've got a great move. And so even that comment alone, I think changes how you might approach the shootout versus someone like me who's only coached in the men's game with men's players. I don't know, maybe all the guys think they want to shoot on the shootout. They all think they're going to score. The women don't. The girls don't. They don't want to be the one out there by themselves. It's embarrassing. Oh my God, I missed last time. What's everyone going to think? So that's kind of the insight that I bring in having done it for 20 years in the women's game. I can speak to them in a way that really resonates based on my experience as a player, as a coach, and now as a parent in the game. So that's kind of the audience, is anyone who just like wants these quick hits to get better every week, whether it's, video analysis of the PWHL, whether it's a video from me about how to build your confidence or how to work on visualization. It could be a shooting video, instructional. I'm going to throw a lot of different stuff in there, but it's tailor-made to the women's game.
Well, Kim, I'm really curious because when I saw your review of the PWHL highlights, I watched the sequence so much more closely, and I appreciated the detail. Now, Tom Malloy's on. He's coaching U15 AA out here. And I'm thinking his girls might look at that video and get something out of it, a depth of thought, a broader perception, and appreciation of everything that's going on in the video. I've always felt video learning is the key to crossing the bridge between working the game and playing the game and thinking it reflexively. And I wonder if you could give us an example of a clip, PWHL to begin with, where you do something like that, describe it, or maybe one you've got that you've already described. If you could
Wally,
share.
I'm a step ahead of you, which rarely ever happens, but I'm going to share my screen. So let's just make sure that it'll let me do it. Sorry. Let's make sure this works.
Tom videos games, and he looks at them and he does statistics, but he might be the only one that I've seen take video to that level. Okay, I can see your clip now.
Okay, well, it has audio on it, so I'm going to just hit play and be quiet for a little bit. I think it's a 3-minuter. Okay. So hopefully, if someone can just give me a thumbs up that you can hear the audio, I should be able to hear it, no problem on my end. But just give me a heads up if you can hear it on your end. What does every single shooter in this clip do from the shootout in Seattle? They get outside dot lines. It's their pathway. Everyone gets outside the dot, which gets the goalie moving. Hopefully it keeps them moving and it keeps them uncomfortable. When the goalie can't get set, it dramatically increases your chances of scoring. Most of the players who score, they end up crossing the midline, which
I don't hear anything now.
And the ones who really... Okay, hold on. Let me stop it then. Could you hear it, Tom?
Jordan, Tom, can you hear anything?
Yeah, I heard it. Talking about the shootout and crossing the midline.
Shall I try to Wally?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna press play from where I was.
Okay.
It looked pretty like these next two had a great little fake before they released the shot. So they want to get outside the dot lines. The ones who score in this shootout are the ones who have a really great fake before they rip it. And this is the best finish of them all, ironically, by the Finnish player. But she gets out to the dot lines, she crosses the road twice, and then has an amazing fake and finish. So focus on your path first, then you got to think about your fake, and then you got to think about your finish. Now we're going to look at all 4 goals scored in the shootout from pretty to prettiest. We start with Hannah Brandt. You're going to see this foot fake is really, really subtle. We're going to slow it down here, and that shot placement is unreal. So we look here. You see this little foot stomp with her left foot? That does get Debian to move, and that opens up as she goes down, that opens up high blocker side. So here, just that little stomp, and then even slow motion, that puck goes in awfully quick. Poulin, this is a great shot fake, an awesome shot placement, little deke there over the blocker. So you can see the shot fake here. She pulls it, looks like she's going to shoot, which makes Frankel go down, and then she's got enough poise to make another move to pull her across the railroad, keep Frankel moving, and then low blocker. Gotta love that finish. Next, we're going to go to Hannah Bilka. They just get prettier and prettier. So we see here Bilka, she's got a great little toe flash, a great little forehand fake, and then a finish. So here's the toe flash. And this is what's really elite by this goal. She holds it, so you can see her toe cap come up. She doesn't just go backhand. She pulls to her forehand here, which freezes Desbiens. And then as she comes back across to her backhand, she has all day to go backhand bar down. And, you know, the finish doesn't get much better than that. Desbiens couldn't really have done much more on that one. And then you gotta love the celly in front of the crowd at the NHL arena. Last, but certainly not least, the prettiest, Tapani here crosses the road twice. It's a textbook shot fake, and then great poise to move Desbiens and finish. So any of us can do this. You pull the puck back, you make it like you're going to shoot your forehand. That looks perfect. She pulls it through. There's the shot fake, and then she pulls it across on her backhand. Desbiens swimming here. Not much she can do, and she really does her best to get across, and Tapani finds a pretty small hole here. It's almost probably the greatest save of the season. She gets it here, which would technically be low blocker, but it goes up top glove, and it's a beautiful finish by Tapani.
Kim, that's amazing.
Thanks.
I've seen video of your team play, but I've never seen anything as detailed as that in the shootout. I've got a question, Tim, on shootouts. One of the coaches I've run into over the years has said to come in on your off wing side and come in at an angle and come across, because you have every available option as you come across. So I notice just don't come straight at the goalie is a teaching point for players on the shootout. We've come in at an angle, and I've just, from a teaching point of view, been told to come from your off wing across, because you can shoot and score at every point of your lateral movement there.
Yeah, that's great, Wally. That's what I teach when I'm on the ice with the kids. So certainly, you know, the people who are going to watch that video may never have access to coming on the ice with me. And certainly I'd have a follow-up video eventually with me demonstrating on the ice. But that's, you know, every team I work with before we go on for a tournament, we work on the shootout, because there's shootouts, you know, to decide games and tournaments. And that's what I teach them. So a lot of the girls, whether they're U11A or U18B, I mean, you have a whole breadth and depth of ability. That's the most basic one. So, you know, get to the dot line on your weak side, pull it backhand to forehand, and you're right. As you cross, especially if you're just around the hash marks, as you navigate east-west there, you've got short side, you've got far side. It's another reason I love to have players play their off wing. But you just have so much more real estate to shoot through the eyes of your stick, which is a concept that I teach kids at a pretty young age, that, you know, what your eyeballs see that are attached to your head, see something very different than the blade of your stick. And play your off wing, you know, your eyeballs don't always see it, but certainly the eyes of your stick see that far side very, very differently. And so, yeah, that's the most basic, I guess, on ice instruction you could give them, to kind of ensure at least they can look up and find a hole, versus, you know, what we just saw. Clearly that wasn't the first day Bilka ever made that move, or Tapani ever made that move. They have practiced that specific move quite a bit. I don't think girls or girls coaches practice breakaways or shootouts as much. Maybe it's more so in boys, or maybe boys just do it out the outdoor rink, but I'm not sure that a lot of our players in the women's game are actually practicing those moves. So what you suggest is a great way to give them at least a chance of scoring on the shot, or making one little deke, you know, to pull it back across to their backhand side.
Now, Tom, I'm going to ask you a question. you have overtime 3-on-3, and if you don't score, do you go to a shootout?
Yeah, it's 3-on-3 for 5 minutes and then a shootout. We work on shootouts at least once a practice. I just want to tell you, Kim, Cassie's helping me coach. So she gets there at least one practice a week. She'll be there tonight. She was there Tuesday. And she's also arranged, our girls are going to go up to Edmonton to watch a game up there, the women's game. So we're going to take a bus in February. I can't remember what date. As a team, she can organize that all.
That's awesome. Tell her I say hi.
Okay. But yeah, we do the shootouts at least once a week because it determines a lot of games, right? Plus 3-on-3. We try to put that in practice quite regularly.
Yeah, we don't have that a lot in Ontario, so at least not at the minor hockey level. So unless they're in a tournament, it's not necessarily something I work on in isolation. However, at U9 and U11, there's a lot of kids getting breakaways. Not as clear of a breakaway as what you might get in a shootout, of course. But you're still getting some daylight, and it's a little bit alarming how many of them don't even get a shot off, let alone make a move. And so, whether you're teaching it as a shootout, like we do, the 5-puck shootout drill at the end of practice, with our U9s, and, the players love it. The goalies, I'm not so sure about. And, but none of them have moves. It's just the kids who have, learned to raise the puck or have one little weight shift are scoring every time. But the reality is at U9 and U11 here, like, you're going to get a lot of those type of opportunities. You might have a back checker on you.
Oh, yeah.
So it
all
would
depends what level you're coaching too, right? So
Yeah.
We're coaching the top 13, 14-year-olds in the province. So they're pretty good, and and we get 2 hours and 15 minutes for games or something. So there's time for that at the end of the game.
Yeah, that would be the barrier here for sure. Other than our U22 teams that play 320s with overtime, everyone else has kind of got a shortened game. So that's just the reality of ice time in Ontario, I guess, until they start building more rinks.
I think it is everywhere. Just, you get certain levels get the long ice time.
Kim, one of the routines at practices is they often finish with a shootout. If you don't score, you skate. And you go back in line kind of thing. And it's like a punishment thing. There's no instruction, change your approach, change your angle, come in from your weak side. And I'm looking at the video you put together. Tom, I can't imagine any one of your girls picking up and doing any of the stuff that was mentioned.
Wally, we coach that all the time. We coach always about going wide and making a move.
Yeah.
And demonstrate it. But, we don't, it'd be nice to have the video the girls can watch too. So that's an additional layer of instruction for sure.
Well, Kim, I'm going to try.
Hey, Wally.
Yes, Sam.
I just wanted to, this is Sam. I don't know how many people, I can't seem to get on. How many people are on the call right now?
Tom, Kim, myself, Jordan Fenton, but he might be in and out of the classroom.
Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Okay, I just wanted to say, it's really funny, Kim. I use your stuff all the time just because it's not my job, and I run a hockey. I just started last year with I think Kim, I told you this, where it's called Peak HIQ, and it's solely just taking the video and translating the skills on the ice to what they see in the video. And I'm really, really, really seeing good things. We do shootouts all the time because a lot of the times in the game, you get breakaway shootouts with just the type of style of play that everybody's like. So, but what I find so valuable, Kim, is that people don't have the time to use video, and so the kids nowadays are always in those short clips. and that's some of the ways where it's the only way to teach nowadays, to be quite honest. And I find specifically with girls, they don't necessarily watch hockey. I don't even really watch hockey much anymore unless just with other life things. And so I love your clips, and I actually was able to watch last night the P-Dub game, the third period. And I don't know if it's just my preference, but it's so much easier to see the skills and detail in the women's game of those skills that we're trying to teach than it is in the men's for me. I don't know if it's that they do it more often, if it's because I'm just looking for it more, or if there's just too much going around. I'm not sure, but maybe the broadcasters are highlighting it. But like Kim, I sent your shootout even before I sent the email that you did on shootouts out to my team through text message. And the people that want to do it will do it, and we'll see when we do another shootout at tonight's practice whether they learn it, or we'll be able to talk about it because they've seen it. So keep it coming.
No problem, Sammy. I will. And you know what? It's so cool how often, now that I've got my podcast and this new sort of venture with the Orange Machine, like how often people I've, never met before see me in the rink and say, oh, I saw that video, or, I listened to your podcast, and, my daughter this, or the kids themselves. And, it is, you're right. My podcast started being like an hour long. Now it's 15 minutes long, and the kids are listening to it with their parents on the way to the rink, right? And we're talking about confidence, talking about hockey, and it's, you're right. This is the, I make a 1 minute clip or a 3 minute clip, and that's digestible, right? Long gone are the days of the 45-minute video session. You break everything down, especially when you're showing them highlight type stuff here. It might be different if you're working on face-offs, but are you going to teach them how to score that goal Poulin scored? You think you can do that?
Listen, I just want to teach them to go east-west, or as you would call it, the Royal Road. Is for me, I think it's really interesting. Their approach. I also feel like not just shootouts, but the 2-on-0 and what to do on a 2-on-0 is very lacking in teaching. Anyways, it's as you know, and as everybody on this call knows, minor hockey, elite hockey is a little bit different with the understanding, the commitment to wanting to be better. And so, when I send stuff out to people, it's like those kids that wanna get better, that are engaged, we'll watch it and we'll ask questions, and we just I just hope that I use your videos all the time. So it's awesome.
I appreciate, and I will only be making more of them now, so they'll keep coming your way.
Sam, what you said about the men's game and video, and I agree with you. I watched the PWHL game last night, and I can follow the game. And I don't know whether I'm aging or I find the pace and the execution, I can pick up on the little details.
Correct.
And in the guys' game, they're happening so fast, you almost have to repeat it or play it in slow-mo to appreciate it. So for any young hockey player, male or female, I think watching those clips of female professional athletes is going to be more visibly appreciative, and you're going to get something out of it. And Kim, when you edited the video and they went through that initial one on the shootouts, I couldn't believe the amount of details that you provided, and just the way they handled that puck on their toe of their blade and moved it across, and the fake and the shifting of the weight. It was just amazing how many factors were in it. Now, I've got Jordan Fenton on. Jordan's coaching the AAA team. Jordan gave a task, and he may have used your videos in the task with his AAA team. And I thought, oh my God, it's a daunting task over the holiday that he gave the team. And I'm just going to ask him if he would talk about it and how it's worked out. Jordan, your speaker.
Yeah, sorry, Wally. I just didn't have my microphone on there for a second. Yeah, it's something that well, as Kim has alluded to, that with the PWHL being out there, there's far more content available for us to use with players, and that is female specific to the female game. It used to be that if you wanted to clip things, the most video that you had available to you was NHL stuff or your own video. So what I did with this was it's an analyzing offensive chances task that I gave them, and I went on to Instat and clipped a Toronto and Minnesota game from the PW and asked them to look at the 5 different ways that goals were scored that Wally had shared with me from Dave King, that he used to break down scoring chances into 5 categories, that they were either off the direct attack, whether they were a forecheck, whether it was offensive zone play, extended offensive zone play, or whether it was off of special teams or directly off of faceoff. And so the reason why I chose that Toronto and Minnesota game wasn't just because it was good hockey, but it was because there were 8 goals scored in the game. So it forced the kids to look at several goals. And so clip the goals, which Instat does so well for me already. And then basically they had to figure out which category it was of offensive chance of those 5. And then the 2 tasks that I gave them was to ask the question of, what did the team on offense do to create that offense? And then what breakdown may have occurred with the team on defense? So what did the defense maybe do that allowed for that chance to happen? And so then I had them go through and do that. And then I asked them to go back to Instat to choose any 10 goals that our team has scored, and then choose any 10 goals that were scored against us and do the exact same thing. And it was something that they could do on their own, or they could do with someone else, because of course we know, as Sam was just talking about, sitting down and talking with, going over video with others is a really good way to learn as well. So the players did that, and then the ask of them was that they submit it to us, and we'll talk about it with them. For some players, it's just like in my role as an educator, that some students do the bare minimum, and some go well beyond. And it was pretty amazing what the responses for some were, and then also the questions that came out of it, because they started seeing themselves in not just the clips of our own team, but the teams of Toronto and Minnesota, and saying, well, I play kind of like this, and so if I do that, I can generate more offense. And you're like, yeah, you can add that to your game. Or, oh, I've made the same mistake that person did, and they see that piece too. The other method to my madness of using Toronto, Minnesota was that I think that it's one of those pieces that if the people who are being paid to play the game and are playing at the highest level can make mistakes on the defensive side that results in goals, then maybe I don't feel as bad when that happens to me. And then on the flip side to it is that, again, seeing the creative side and seeing how some of those players that think the game at the highest level on the offensive side, it helps these players to learn that hockey IQ piece too. And I'm a believer that like anything else, that nuance to the game can be learned.
Jordan,
I have a question with that. Jordan, I have a question for you. Were the players, when they were commenting more on like the individual skill or the concept that it came out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a little of both, Sam. So,
Okay.
like when you're figuring out, well, I'll just look at the first one, first goal that Toronto scored. It was off a forecheck. So one of the responses that the players gave was Toronto 71 gains the red line, sends a puck deep. 21 is hard on the forecheck as F1, and number 7 comes in to support immediately. 7 wins her battle and digs the puck out, passing it to 42, who jumped down from the point and quickly puts the puck on goal. That sort of thing. So it's both the concepts of, you know, F1, F2, F3, but it's also, you know, winning a board battle, or, you know, protecting the puck, or those sorts of things, those skills.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm going to be doing for my school this spring is actually doing like a bingo card. So like, and writing out and giving them like a 4-minute clip, and then they have to dab on the bingo card when they see either certain concepts in the game. So again, you're coaching the highest level, right, of minor, but what I'm looking at doing is just getting them to recognize when, like, little simple things. So yeah, I'll be probably reaching out to you to get some more information. But I'm working with the young kids, right? I'm teaching them hockey IQ at U11 and U13, and going from there. So cool, that's cool.
Hey, but you know what? That bingo card idea is one that I might steal too, because you can put in what you want them to see. Yeah. Yeah,
and they actually go through it with their parents, which is part of that whole education, right? So that's what I was thinking of doing, like quiz at the end, but instead of quizzes, since I hate tests, is just to do a fun activity where they get a bingo card, and then in the next video session the next week, we get to talk about, like, what did you see in the video card, and then the kids get to hear it from the kids, right?
Yeah.
Guys, I'd like to, Kim, I'm wondering if you have a clip, like, you've talked about individual skills, the shootout. You might be doing a deke, an evasive tight turn, but I've seen some of your video breakdown, which was team tactics. Do you have anything related to team tactics on the video? Because I think where Jordan's at, their skill level is very high. It can always get better. But their ability to see the options and use their teammates and use their skills to create time and space are lacking. They don't have their heads up.
That would be unreal. Sorry to interrupt you, but that would be unreal.
Okay, well, I'll cue something up for you. I have, this is a long one though. I don't know if we play the whole thing, but it's Danielle Serdachny's gold medal winning goal from the last Worlds. So what I typically do is I make like a 1-minute clip. So you might see that on like social media, as shared on Instagram or Facebook. And then this is an example of like the paid content. So the people who sign up for my weekly newsletter for the Orange Machine, they get access to the like long version of it. So the short version still has like useful information, kind of like that shootout one did, but this one is a lot more in depth. So I'll play a bit of it, and maybe I can run around in it a little to see if I find a little bit more of what you're looking at or looking for. Let me see if you guys.
No, I can't see anything. I'm only on Wally's phone call, but I think the concept of like not being able to, and Wally, you and I briefly talked about this at the beginning of the year or before I started, is that I don't think female players have the exposure or the interest to see the options. So I actually help them see the options and tell them the options, and then I let them make a 3-on-1. Here are the options. and because they don't know what the options are. They've never been taught the options. And so we're giving them the education first, and then we're allowing them to choose and give them the skills and then choose. They don't know the options. They don't know instinctively what to do because they don't generally watch hockey.
Kim,
Yeah.
that's so true, Sam. Their heads are down. They don't see the ice. They're not thinking. It's a 1-on-5 game, and expanding their view is critical. So, Kim, if you've got your clip on there, we're trying to look at now a team tactic, which might be more appropriate at the U15 AA level, U18 AA and AAA levels. I'm not sure. The whole secret to me is, for you, Sam, what's the right stuff, the right amount, the right time in terms of what you do? What's for Jordan? What's for Tom? And I think the art of coaching is just finding that niche of what works. So, Kim, go ahead and take us into a team tactical scenario.
Yeah, so this is her goal for to win the Worlds. So it's if you remember, I'll just give you a little preamble. It's a net front kind of tip rebound type of goal, which I think every coach in the universe would like us to score more of. So I think just even if that was the message sent, that hey, like you get rewarded for doing this, would be a great point. Then you've got happen to have people like Ambrose running the point. So we talk a little bit about how she uses deception, and how she opens up all these opportunities, and then there's a lot of movement off the puck as well, by some of the other players. So and I do touch a little bit, kind of like Jordan alluded to, about where Team USA fell short. Although I always feel weird being like, oh, Megan Keller screwed up. Like Megan Keller's a pretty good hockey player. But I dip into that a little bit here. But I'll just start it off, and then you guys can yell at me if you want to stop it or try to find some other bits in there. So I'll get her going here. Today we're watching Danielle Serdachny's gold medal winning goal from last year's World Championships. We're going to watch a bunch of clips here and check it out and see what we can learn. So here's the initial clip. Ambrose shoots it through. Serdachny's got a great screen, scores on the rebound. Seems simple, something we need to see a lot more of in women's hockey and girls hockey, but we're going to break it down in a lot greater detail here. So you're going to see the same goal scored again, a little bit more off the entry. So we can see a lot more movement by the Canadian players. We can see that they're even on a change. So it's actually a 3-on-3 when this goal is scored. We're pretty close to it. They're not even in the zone yet. But let's slow this down and really analyze what Canada does so well to score this goal. So first things first, we're going to talk about Erin Ambrose, elite defenseman, one of the best in the world, so heads up, and has been that way since she was back in junior hockey. I used to get to watch her play when she was under 18 here in Ontario. So you're going to see here on entry, she's carrying it up with speed, but we can see that Team USA has done a great job here of getting back and taking away the middle. So it's not a great play to take this to the net. So she pulls back. You can see Jenner's showing shot here in the middle, but again, not a great play to try to force that through. And Jenner's actually going to go for a change here. So in the time that this goal is scored, there's actually a 3-on-3 situation between Canada and US. And I think that's an interesting observation in that the US doesn't necessarily play it as if it's a 3-on-3. Maybe they don't realize there's a change. Maybe they just haven't practiced a lot of 4-on-3 situations when the opponents change. But again, you can see as this clip rolls that the US actually gets on the wrong side of the puck, and that if they recognized it was a 3-on-3 for this long, they might have adjusted a little bit differently. So again, I want to talk about the movement by the Canadian players here, not just Ambrose, but the other two players, Serdachny and Larocque, do a great job of cutting through some seams and creating some chaos and confusion for Team USA. So we're going to see Jenner leave here for the change, and you're going to see Serdachny enter the screen next, showing shot, which is a great play. But again, Ambrose recognizes that's not a great shot. US is in great positioning at this point. So Ambrose, always heads up, is going to walk to the top, and Serdachny is going to rotate all the way through and establish her net front position. And this is a critical piece here because Serdachny is going to hold this position for a while, and she's able to get behind the US players, None of them really have eyeballs on her. No one's a stick length away. So she's really, really open in this situation. And you can see, even as she initially rotates to the net, she's really got Frankel bothered. This is a great position to be in. So again, now we're going to watch the movement of Larocque as she comes east-west across the middle of this triangle. And this creates a lot of confusion for the US, not just because of the movement, but also because Ambrose keeps her eyes on Larocque the entire time. So you're going to see as Larocque comes through here and Ambrose is crossing across the top. Now, again, would this be a great shot? Maybe. We have fantastic layers in front of the net here. You've got the US creating traffic, you've got Canada creating traffic, but again, you got a lot of bodies you can hit in this situation. So I think it's a great choice by Ambrose to not shoot the puck here, but you could argue it wouldn't be a horrible shot choice. It would be really hard for Frankel to see this puck and make that initial save. But what Ambrose is doing here, and she's keeping her eyes on Larocque as she goes through. And this to me is the really critical piece. So as Larocque rotates through, you can see they're all looking at what Ambrose is looking at, which is Larocque. And so Knight actually cheats over a little bit here. And that movement there by Knight, and it's so subtle. And again, these are the best teams in the world. But that subtle movement there now puts Team USA all on the wrong side of this puck. So really, Ambrose and Serdachny at this moment have a 2-on-0 on Frankel, because all three US players are stacked and they're overly concerned about what Larocque might do if she gets the pass. I mean, I'd be concerned about what Larocque's going to do if she gets this pass as well. But in this situation, they've over-rotated to that side and they've given Serdachny even greater positioning in front of that net. So we can see Ambrose recognizes that. She's going to get that shot through. And Keller finally realizes she needs to get a little closer to Serdachny. Serdachny, again, is taking away Frankel's eyes, who's, again, Frankel's one of the best goalies in the world, so she finds a way to see it. Puck comes in through tight on Serdachny, still able to get it through. But because Serdachny came in with her stick up, she's now able to get her stick down. And we can see here where the biggest problem is, and we see this all the time in minor hockey, and really all levels of girls hockey and female hockey. Keller is on the wrong side. Her toes are facing the wrong way. She's staring at Frankel. We know this is a critical error. It's going to lead to the goal against. It's going to lead to Canada winning the World Championship. Listen, Keller's one of the best Ds in the world, so she's not going to make this mistake all the time, but this is a critical one in this moment. And Serdachny, because she had her stick up, she can now press it down, and she's going to finish here for the goal. So again, just some little key moments that really make a difference in terms of movement and positioning here. So let's just look at it again. So you've got Serdachny here pushing off of Keller. This is so important. Totally underrated skill. Doesn't take a lot of skill to be able to do this. But that little push off on Keller, getting her weighted in the wrong direction, again, further establishes Serdachny's position on the inside and creates even more problems for Frankel. So we love that push off here. That's a great picture. And again, we love seeing Serdachny here. Even though Keller's got her tied up, again, she's on the wrong side. Keller's got her tied up and Serdachny's still strong enough, still has the presence of mind to get stick on puck. And Frankel, again, because of the chaos, isn't quite able to rotate over quick enough. And Serdachny's able to finish on that side. So what a great play. And again, here's that stick up by Serdachny. And again, this is something relatively new. We used to teach that tripod position in front of the net. So if you're going to tip, you want to present your stick on the ice. But what that allows the D to do is when she lifts it up, you probably don't have enough time to get that stick back down. And so in this situation, Serdachny's got her stick up. And as that rebound comes, then she's getting her stick down to score on the rebound. So I love this goal for a million different reasons. I think at least establishing the net front positioning and even that push off are things that we can do at all levels of women's hockey. I'm not sure we can all navigate the point like Erin Ambrose and be able to look off Larocque and make this great play. But again, that inside positioning, that net front detail is so critical. And I think ultimately what leads to this goal for. There you go, Wally.
Kim, I just want to make a point here. 3 years ago, Darryl Belfry was working with Patrick Kane, Matthews, Crosby in Florida. And Belfry did what you did. he said to Patrick, we're going to do some video tonight, Patrick. And they set aside a space at the bar and had their video stuff set up. And Patrick, you're going to talk about the goal you scored, everything that happened leading up to it, and how it happened. And I have a video of not the play, but Daryl explaining this exercise where Patrick Kane talked through what he saw happen. In other words, if Ambrose was talking through the clip and what she saw, or Sarah Dackey, and what came out of it was those players process information so fast and they see so much more than we appreciate. And we're just trying to get our young players to see the game and think more about the options and be more self-aware of their surroundings. And the details to which you present are just amazing. And that exercise, to me, Daryl Belfry did 2 years ago. What you just did here now reinforced the value of visual learning. I never saw all those details. I saw the goal scored. I appreciate Saradaki being at the side of the net, but all of the things that went into it, like Jordan Fenton talked about the lack of the defensive detail, which might have caused the goal. This is what video can teach. And it's all about how much is too much and when do you do it. And Kim, who's using your work and taking most advantage of it?
Well, we kind of just launched it, Wally. So it's sort of in its very basic, I guess, beta stage right now. So I launched it in December. It's a funny story. I like talking about when we fail because I think it happens a lot and we don't own it. But so we're supposed to launch it like December 10th, which of course I was leaving on December 11th to go to the Olympic qualifications. So I really gave myself a lot of time to troubleshoot if anything happened. So we tested it a bunch on December 9th and everything was working great, looked great. Those of you who are listening and not aware, my husband's a computer science professor. So I have some in-house help if things go awry. And then we launched on the 10th and no one could order anything. Didn't work. And so long story short, took quite a bit of time to figure out the payment processor didn't work. After having used it for 17 years, by the way, with no problem, decided to punk out on that morning. So a little bit embarrassing, challenging. Luckily, I had sort of an email sequence that was supposed to go out that I could stop. But I did have about 15 people who, like lightning quick, wanted to sign up, including parents of kids I coach, including coaches I used to play against when I played college hockey, and some people I'd never heard of before. So it took us a long time actually to fix it. My husband built the whole thing. So he basically, if you're familiar with Substack, he just remade Substack, so I don't have to pay Substack any percentage of the money. So again, very helpful to have in-house. It took him a while to rebuild that. So to be honest, we just kind of relaunched it yesterday and not kind of in a soft way. So the email Sam was referring to, she's on my Total Female Hockey newsletter list. So I sent that 3-minute shootout video out this morning to my list. So they all have access to that. And then there's like a bonus version of the shootout. So the people who are part of the Orange Machine who've signed up for the subscription service get the bonus footage. And the bonus footage has like another Poulin shout out of a shootout goal. It's got Primerano's shootout goal that she scored a couple months back. And it's got the best goal ever on the shootout, which of course, unfortunately, depending where you live, is Lamoureux's shootout winner in 2018, which is by far the best shootout goal I've ever seen in women's hockey. So that's kind of an example of the additional access. So again, that video you just watched of Sir Dackney is only available to the people who subscribe and are paying the monthly fee or the yearly subscription. But I do, on my Total Female Hockey site, kind of give them those 1-minute kind of clips that you could still use and learn some from. And the 1-minute version of that clip is really talking about net front positioning and taking away the goalie's eyes. So it's a very like kind of more basic. The detailed version of what you saw there is for the paid subscribers, and they're mostly right now coaches or parents of slightly older players who are getting it for their daughters to watch. So that, you know, the minimal amount of people that we've got so far, just because we really only reopened it yesterday, that's sort of the demographic. But I could see, you know, it's going to be, I think, a lot of coaches. Like, I think that's going to carry a lot of the weight. But I could see a lot of parents, especially because we're doing things like shooting technique and confidence building. There's other videos that just aren't hockey breakdown analysis and are a little bit more individual player development. So I could see a lot of scenarios where parents are getting it for their daughters to have access to, and to be able to kind of grow their game from there. So still very early stages, but something that, you know, I've been creating content forever. And a lot of that, you know, 7-minute version of Serdachny stuff, like you said, I'm not sure all my audience wants, but I know there's a good part of my audience who wants that kind of more detailed in depth. And that's what this kind of paid subscription model is to feed those people. And, you know, whether it's the coaches site or IHS, and those are phenomenal resources for coaches, and they're examples of other paid subscription sites. They're not only female hockey. Mine's only female hockey. Obviously, you could teach guys from those clips, but all the content is only from female hockey and directed towards female hockey. So I think that's a unique thing that a lot of coaches who are in the female space would be really interested in.
I just wanted to get Jordan to comment. Last night, Jordan, we talked about one of your players, Jasmine, and the detail to which she took your assignment and the probability that her father, which you invited in the task to engage their parents, if the mothers played hockey, not many did, but most fathers play hockey, and they will eat this up. And I wonder, Jordan, if you can comment on that particular top player buying into the concept and taking it to the limit.
Yeah, I can. First, I'd just like to say to Kim, that was a really great analysis of that goal, and I really liked how you went through the different parts of it. And I know that would be something that a lot of people can learn quite a bit from just watching that piece. I like the subtlety of that push off that you showed of Serdachny, because lots wouldn't even have realized that how she created space for herself with that just subtle push off and that. So no, great job with that. And I think that this is an avenue or a point or a part of our game that kids are consuming lots and lots of video in their world, but it's typically TikTok at 10 to 35 seconds. And so to get them to consume it a little longer, it will be a bit of a challenge for us to hook them, but I think that this is a great way to start. And I think that they'll learn quite a bit from it, Kim. So you're right on the cutting edge of that. So thanks for your work on that, and keep doing it. Because as you said in your video that I was watching this morning a little bit on the coaches site that just got released, is that as coaches, we are the best stealers. So I'm going to continue to steal some of your ideas that way too. On the other piece, though, Wally, back to what you were talking about with that player, I actually pulled it up here on my computer while talking about this. And so I'm looking at some of her insights on it, and some of the language that she's using is stuff that we have talked about as coaches. And then, but the other piece is that, yeah, her dad played post-secondary hockey, so I know that he probably was with her doing this at times, and it was pretty interesting. So so some of our analysis, like when she's looking at a goal that was scored off the direct attack against us with a bit of support from forecheck. She says fire breaks out, which is our team. Player number, I'll use numbers that we don't have. 27 loses a puck to Edmonton 19. Forecheck, their defense misses and does a loopy. Number 27 and 28 go off for a change while Edmonton forechecks in our zone. The missing forwards create a 5-on-3 for Edmonton, giving them time and space to walk and shoot. Number 29 and 71 make it to our defensive zone, but not quick enough. So she's looking at concepts and seeing things that are going on in the play, subtleties that shouldn't have happened, like a line change in your own zone as the puck's entering your own zone, but using language like a loopy, with the whole part of us talking about stops and sprints, and that she knows that that's a part that needs to be in our game, is that we have to be a stop and sprint team. So she's looking at those sorts of things, and that, but she has lots of detail and description in every goal and in every category, whether she on that same goal talking about fire breaks out for the offense of how they created it, but Edmonton back checks, puck goes into their defense, their D goes D to D, makes the red line, dumps it in. Edmonton is first to the puck, does a cross with her D partner. Edmonton takes a low shot, rebounding off the pad, girl in front of the net for Edmonton puts in the rebound. So talking about how they're going to the net, creating that off of forecheck, sending pucks deep and those sorts of things. So she's recognizing that offensive side too, how they generated that as offense. And so it's both sides of the puck. She's an interesting player in that she would consume everything that you would put out, Kim, in that she is wanting to learn and wanting to take her game to the top level. So it's great to see, Wally, that with just a little bit of guidance, that some of these kids are learning so much.
Kim, I just want to mention, I plan on promoting what you're doing. I know just from what Jordan's just said about his players' breakdown, if she was looking at the Saradaki clip, which is the advanced one, she would appreciate the details of that, as would her dad or any other viewer. They're going to expand their minds and awareness to a level we can't imagine. And that's for hockey sense. That's how you develop it. It's thinking, decision making. And I'm so excited about what you're taking on here. I'm really looking forward to it. Do you have another, like, I plan on editing this to promote your work, Kim, and I'll stay in touch.
Just wait, Wally.
What's that?
Don't promote her. Don't promote her yet. Let me talk to her first.
Okay.
Her and I are texting. But listen, I love it, and I think I wanted to just go back to the question, Wally, that you had asked about how much, when, and I think that, like, as a coach, you have to know what level you're teaching, and just like we talk about skill assessment and how even some coaches, are you talking about elite like Jordan and Tom, coach, and what's the percentage of the market and who's hungry, but also what is a coaching support look like for coaches that are coaching minor hockey? I don't know if you have seen, obviously, I'm hoping all of you have seen the release of the Hockey Canada letter by all of the people that we know and our friends and played with Kim, but it's pretty interesting at the 6 areas or the 6 or 7 barriers that they talk about. And this specific thing, Kim, that you're doing is exactly. So when I think about the use of video and having females, like with my camp last year, when I wanted to show evasive tight turns or 2-on-0s or what to do or the choices of what to do, they were all male clips. They're all boys or male hockey, or men instructing on what that looks like. So the market in Ontario is 46% of females playing across the country. So I think there's a big opportunity for Kim to capitalize, because Kim, you essentially have it all. Like, you have the technical, you have the analyzing, you have the tools, you have the passion and the knowledge. And so just categorizing that, and that goes back to Wally. What are we teaching at what level? Who needs what? And so I found with my school that you can actually teach the kids younger if you do it properly, the girls younger. If you do it supportively, authentically, and just allowing them to choose. But we have to show them what the options are.
Sammy's now my official marketing director. So thanks, Sam. That was great. My own hype man in my corner. But I will say, that's a great point, Sam, about the right thing at the right time. We talk about that. I mean, I've coached U9 now for 3 years, and my daughter's supremely bored at U9, but she's a pretty darn good player. And I am creating drills that feed what they need to learn in U11. And so I'm like building that bridge very early on. And I have this drill I made up called the rabbit. And I might not have made it up, but it's basically like, if you can imagine, you've got the puck in the offensive zone in the corner, you pass to the point goes D to D, you go D to D back to the other corner, and then you pass it into the slot. Now, that play doesn't happen in a game a lot in that whole sequence. But the kids love this, because what you do is you pass it around the whole zone into the slot, and you have a rabbit, which is a kid who skates outside of the zone all the way around everybody and tries to beat the puck. So that before the puck goes in the net, the kid tries to get back in line. She's the rabbit. So the kids love the rabbit. They ask me every time.
I love it. You know what that's called? Baseball.
Okay, so baseball. So we play baseball. Sam, we're in Toronto. Everyone, it's got to, yeah. Anyways, so we go all the way around, and they love the rabbit. They want to do it every practice. So a month ago, we took the girls to watch some games at Clarkson. My co-coach, he was the captain at Clarkson. So, and they were playing Dartmouth and Harvard in the women's program. So we went down there and we saw the first game was against Dartmouth, and Clarkson had the puck the majority of the game because they're like third in the country. And we're just sitting there watching, and Clarkson's on the power play a lot. And my daughter goes, "Mommy, they're doing the rabbit." I said, "What?" She's like, "They're doing the rabbit." And I hadn't even thought of this. And I'm watching Clarkson move the puck around on their power play, and they're doing the rabbit. Like, they're moving it exactly the patterns that I just talked about. And I think that was a really big aha moment for me. She's 8. I'm not teaching her at the kitchen table. She hears a lot of the things I speak about, but she just has like some very good, I don't know, natural hockey IQ, or she's just listening enough to me. But that really was a light bulb moment for me. While she might be like near the higher end of the skill age group in Ontario, like, we're not doing anything terribly tactical with our team. Like, that's a skill drill, right? But to know that she on her own translated that to, hey, look at this, one of the top teams in college hockey doing that skill drill. So that's a little bit of what I want to add into the Orange Machine, is that idea of how do we get the coaches to connect the dots so they understand, hey, if you want to actually get to be able to do what Serdachny just did there's about 1 million steps along the way. And where do we start? And that's always been with my camps with Total Female Hockey, is like, it's all bare basics and building blocks. So I'm trying to kind of tie this all together as a big picture, knowing that not everyone can come to my hockey camps, and there's only so many hours I can be on the ice. How can I empower more coaches, more players, more families, so that they, again, they feel like they've got a trusted source that they're going to, that really, loves the game and knows the game and is willing to grow with them. So that's all. Like I said, I have about 400 pages of notes of things I want to teach and do on this site. So I'm pretty pumped about it. But certainly, the people on this call have been doing this a long time too. So if there's suggestions or thoughts or different ways around it to really engage the audience best, I would love to hear that feedback, because I'm obviously just coming from it in my little Toronto universe.
Listen, I've got something I want to share with you, Sam and Kim. Last night I'm at a U13 ice time, and their first drill is I call it naked forecheck, basically a claw where they cut the ice in half and freeze in the shape of a 1-2-2. And I really like the shape and the width and the depth and the spacing. And I talked to one of the assistant coaches, and she said we call the first player a dog. And then I don't know if it was you, Sam, or somebody said dog, first player, the next two are foxes, and the defense are eagles. Do you know where that?
Not me. Not me. No.
That was
Minor,
from Springbank, I think, Wally.
yeah, I think you actually have talked about that before. I have cheetah, tigers, and lions because we play for the Wildcats. So the cheetah's the like first one in, and then the next two are the tigers, and then I've got the lions up at the point. But you know, it's funny because my kids now we go full ice next week. The girls who played for me before last season are like, when are we doing the claw? Am I going to be a lion? Am I being a cheetah? And all the other people look at them like they're crazy. Like what are you talking about? But that's, you know, again, meeting them where they are, right? They understand that better than F1, F2, F3, you know, I think. But I do get a lot of pushback on that. Like when I share that, like what you said, Wally, this idea, you know, you do get some coaches out there who are, you know, used to what we were taught, you know, the kind of more standard, the things you hear about in hockey, you know, when you watch CBC, oh, F1 did this and F2, you know, they say, well, why can't you just teach it like that? And I'm like, well, I don't know. This seems to work pretty well. And, you know, an 8-year-old doesn't necessarily have to learn it in the same vernacular that you know, a 15-year-old would execute it on. But it is interesting that you do get pushback sometimes. Of course, when you get outside the box, try to do things a little differently. Everyone wants to shove you back in there, but yeah, it's great. I mean, the kids just eat that up. I'm sure they were great at that drill.
Well, Kim, you can just say to them,
a few things
oh, sorry,
about
Tom.
the kind of things that I've been trying to do on my coaching Facebook page. So here's what I'm doing is, can you see that a little bit? That's my players. I take a little 1-minute video clip, so it's not showing very good there, but it's my players doing the drill because I'm posting it and a lot of things are from the national team or pro teams and all this kind of stuff. So I put the diagram and my players doing the different things. So more for youth hockey coaches. And right now I'm kind of in a phase of posting a lot of the Canadian women's under 18 team and the women's team doing stuff on the drills. I'm every day I put a few drills on here. So anyways, today I just posted 3-0 middle drive Canadian U18 female team. And then the kids tournament using 5 nets stuff I'll do, and the big horseshoe with the Canadian 18 female team. So there's a lot of stuff for girls on there too. So just wanted to mention that.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. When you get girls at U15 AA, what are the biggest, like, hockey IQ tactics that they're missing? That might be a loaded question. That might be a whole nother Sharks call. But from your, you have a lot of experience. What are they missing?
Well, it's a puck support and, you know, making yourself available, and then what the options are, you know, so that if everybody's covered ahead of you, you can always throw the puck back and regroup. And sometimes the girls come in, they cross the red line, they just shoot the puck in, you know, and to get them to look around and the other players to become available. I think that's the biggest challenge. And the skill challenge is passing and receiving. But, yeah, I think it's a puck support and to look, you know, to be aware. So we encourage them to be counting all the time. Where are you in the situation? you know, how many players are there and this sort of thing. That answer your question, Sam?
It does. Thank you.
Kim, I was just going to say that when you're talking about a little bit of pushback of not using the same terminology with younger players as older, I would say your comeback to that one is just saying the whole idea that, well, your child has learned science in school all the way through, and the science curriculum is scaffolded in such a way that they would have learned many of the same concepts early on in elementary, and then it's revisited in middle school, and then revisited again in high school. But the vocabulary that they used at the lowest levels isn't the exact same vocabulary that they're using at the highest levels. So it's that piece for it.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I think I've talked about this before. I use the term the backpack as my close support player. And everybody's like, yep, backpack. Like, that makes sense. I get it. You're close. That's what your backpack is. And then I had, you got people, usually, male, older, no offense, boys, but, guys have been around a long time and who are names in the hockey. Why wouldn't you just call it close support? Like, why do you have to call it the backpack? And I was like, well, man, coach 7 and 8-year-olds. And when I tell them to backpack the other player, they know exactly what that means and they go down the ice with them. So it is, again, that's more conceptual hockey, I guess, than positional hockey. But yeah, it is just interesting that they would say, well, why don't you just call it what everyone else calls it? And supposing that close support is actually the best thing to call it. And I'm not sure that it is, given that, Sam, you asked Tom that question. I'm sure you have the same problem, like their ability to get open and figure out, when they want to be close. We call that the close, like the backpack player. You know what I call the one who's getting open? I call her the dangerous player. Tell her to get dangerous. What does dangerous mean? It means you're not standing next to someone holding them their hand. You are somewhere where you can make stuff happen if you get that puck. Be dangerous, right? Like, what would we call that? Far support? I don't know. That being dangerous sounds a lot more exciting to me than being far support.
People call it width and depth a lot.
Which is great, but like to my 8-year-old daughter, I'm not sure that that's necessarily.
You're right. I remember in Bantam, and I heard the word forecheck all the time. I had no clue what that meant. And in Bantam, somebody kind of explained the forecheck as the closest players, forcing the puck carrier. I didn't know what forecheck meant. And then I thought, oh yeah, I always do that all the time anyway. But nobody had ever explained what the word forecheck meant. They just said the word. I wasn't that intelligent of a young kid, so.
Well, your
just one
backpack.
internet thing I don't really understand, Kim. Maybe you do. I'll post things, and I'll get between 500 and 2,000 this post reach. But every once in a while, things just go all over the place. So this breakout pass and shooting warm up, I have 77,500 post reach on it. And do organizations take that and send it out, or what do they do that all of a sudden things just jump like that?
It's probably like someone with a big following reposted it. So if let's use the coaches site as an example. If they saw something, they usually don't post other people's content, but they would have a really big reach. So if they took your post, said, hey, this is a really good drill, then a whole bunch of people would see it, right? And so like, I don't have that level of following as what they have, but you're basically, if you can imagine, you're getting like an endorsement by someone who has a lot more followers than you or a lot more of a reach than you, is saying, oh, this is a really good one. And if they send that out, then their followers say, oh, well, Jimmy, who thinks this is a really good one, I think Jimmy's great, so I'm going to send this out to my team. So that's kind of how that happens. It just piggybacks on each other. But if you get something that gets, I once had a clip of 2 kids doing the drill where you try to pull each other over the line with the sticks, a couple 8-year-olds, and the NHL posted it, like NHL.com. I had no idea. All of a sudden I had so many more followers. So that's the kind of stuff that happens. If, I guess, people with more followers, their eyeballs get on it and they think it's good, then can go out to a much bigger audience. And often it's not the stuff that you intuitively think would get spread across the universe. But
Yeah, I know, I don't think this is that great of a drill, but
Kim, Tom,
it's good, but it's not like exceptional.
Tom and Kim, I'd like to make a point here. I believe that guys hockey, male coaches, all they're looking for is drills. They don't care about the nuances and the scope and sequence and the progressions and accomplishing the purpose of the drill. And find whether it's the coach's site or all the drills that are posted, people just take those drills and do the drills, but they don't have the skills to do the drills. And I've watched this over many years, evaluating Development 1 coaches and HP coaches doing drills that their kids couldn't pass the puck, and they would lose their minds in the middle of practice because they just didn't have the skill, the tactical skill, the timing to do it. So coaches, I believe, have to have a responsibility for teaching and understanding what they're doing and accomplishing the purpose. Just doing a drill doesn't hurt. They'll get better by repetition, but boy, you would sure like to make sure they accomplish everything that you want to be accomplished. And I think the video analysis just expands the mind of the viewer, and the more people viewing it are going to just be that much more astute and reflexive in decision making when they're that much more aware of the surroundings. So,
well, it's interesting. I think, like you guys have 12 billion practice plans and 8 million drills, and I'm always happy to share them. So it's none of it's a secret. But it to your point, it's a little bit like I guess my presentation just got posted on the coach's site today, so they're getting a lot of love today. But I was talking about teaching physicality and the very basic drills I use to teach physicality. And I showed a bunch of pictures of them, and I showed them the pictures of the drills. And I think that's hopefully some of what I'll do with the Orange Machine. But again, it really depends who the audience is, because to your point, if it's parents and their kids watching it and really wanting hockey IQ, then the breakdown of the drill and how to teach it and the nuance is probably not resonating with them. So I think there's sort of in the beginning, it's trying a bunch of stuff out and seeing what people really enjoy in terms of the content. But then what we'll also have is like little mini courses within the site. So anyone who subscribes to the site gets access to all the courses. For example, I put together like a 5-day confidence course. So for 5 days, they get an email with a 5-minute video that works on building their confidence. I give them a very actionable exercise they can do for 5 days. So anyone who subscribes to the Orange Machine gets that 5-day course. But if you didn't subscribe to it, it would be a separate kind of offering that I might sell through Total Female Hockey. And I could see some of these separate offerings being created specifically for coaches, probably in minor hockey, saying, hey, here's a whole 10 practice pack on how to teach players to forecheck, to use the example we used earlier. And then you have kind of a video course with practice plans and all of that people would have access to, right? So, these are all things that'll, take me a while to put together, but it's right now we're in that fact finding phase of like, what do the people actually want? And to your point, they do want video. They want those little snippets. They want to feel like they learned something. But as we all know, that doesn't actually make you necessarily able to teach it, especially from the fundamental levels, or able to learn it from the fundamental details of it. So, how we bridge that gap, I guess, is my task to figure out. But, in the short term, certainly hockey IQ is exciting and something everybody wants to. So to sell it in that way is certainly a good business decision. But I'm very aware that it doesn't, that Serdachny video, perfect example. It's a lot of stuff, but to actually be able to execute that, I'm not sure anyone on this call has a team that could actually get there, without quite a bit of work. It's not a hey, go do this tomorrow type of video. which is something that I would also like people to have access to, the Orange Machine, something they could go and do right away. And that video is not exactly that, but yeah, so it's fun to put together, and anything you guys have would be great. I actually have to jump off because well, I got far too many jobs right now, but I appreciate it. And I wanted to just share one more idea because I think Jordan mentioned it. You know, this idea of players identifying with certain players in the PWHL. Like my daughter cried when Jocelyn Larocque got traded. We were going to the game the next day. She had made a Jocelyn Larocque poster all in Scepter's colors, and then we had hockey camp all day. Then she had to remake the sign in Ottawa colors before we got to the game that night. But even that ability for us to just say to a team or to a player of any age, watch 5 minutes of any PWHL game and tell me who you think you play like. Even just doing that as an exercise, I think is transformational, right? Because I don't know. I mean, my daughter tells me she thinks she plays like Larocque. I think she plays a little more like Fast, but cool. She thinks she's Larocque. Like that's every player. If we knew that information from every player we coached, that they thought they were Hilary Knight, they thought they were Poulin, they thought they were Sarah Nurse, they thought they were Debian. Like, how empowering is that for us as coaches to know, you know, kind of how they see themselves, and what an opportunity. We never had that opportunity. You couldn't just turn on the TV and go, okay, I'm gonna watch 5 minutes of this game tonight and I'll be able to tell coach who I play like. So I think that's a pretty awesome thing. And even when I was in Iceland this past weekend with a training camp, and I walked in for our first meeting, I think I was wearing I was wearing a Victoire shirt because of Poulin. And they were all over me. How come you're not wearing Scepter stuff? You're from Toronto. We watched the game. Like, and this is Iceland, guys. They have 200 girls who play hockey in the whole country. That's it, right? So this reach is a lot more than, you know, what you guys are getting out west in Calgary way, and what we're getting here in Toronto. Like, we're the center of the hockey universe. But, you know, in these little countries where they have three whole rinks in the whole place, the PWHL's exploded over there too, with the audience. The female hockey audience, which obviously is huge. So I appreciate the opportunity, Wally. Thank you for including me. And I hope to jump on more calls. I'm away at the World Championship for the next couple of weeks in Turkey. So see if we can bring back some shiny trophies there. But I wish you all the best, and hopefully I see you guys before the season ends.
If you see Denny Inseed in Turkey, say hi to him for me.
Will do.
He's running their pro team for their national team.
Yeah, I've never been to Turkey, and apparently we're in one of the newer rinks there, but yeah, it's a pretty small world, so we'll see how it goes. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Great,
Kim.
Kim. Thanks.
Thanks, Cam.
Guys, I've got questions for you. Got any ideas about, you know, how to promote the concept of visual learning and just getting coaches, players, parents to understand it's all about learning. It's all about development.
Well, I just ordered I saw on Amazon this portable projector, because that's a problem when you're in different rink every day. Eh? You don't have any kind of set thing, and it's supposed to be powerful enough that if the lights are on, people could actually see it. And I'm waiting for it to be delivered. Some kind of a, you know, the portable projector. So I might open up that possibility to do with our team on the couple of days that I do get them.
That's one limiting factor that Tom expresses, that not having a home rink and having to try and do video wherever. But the other one, Wally, is just the time. Like if I didn't have access to Instat the way that we do now, and Instat has all the clips, when I was trying to clip it myself with iMovie and that, it was almost impossible, like to do. So that's a big limiting factor for most. So a service like Kim's trying to promote there, where she's putting together snippets and consumable pieces, I think that will have a market. Would we love to be able to do video with teams the same way that they do at the NHL or junior teams and that? Yes, but what's the difference? Those are 100% full-time jobs. And so I don't know, Wally, what the answer to that one is, but I'm gonna have to go back to my job that I'm paid for here too, and go out. I had a couple people poking.
I just want to say this one thing is time is the biggest thing. What you have to do is you have to pay to buy your time back. That's what I teach my clients. And the reality is the other day is I was watching and I was like, oh, look at this. I'm going to pause this TV and I'm going to record this video on my phone to use and send to my team. That's the extent of how I use it. I literally just recorded off the video and send it by text message. So I think that what we have to do, the whole premise is that we have to take anything, whether it's 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and you just send it and I do my voiceover. I don't do any of that other stuff. But is that enough? And is that better than nothing? And is that how you get started?
I'd say that's how you get started, Sam, and it is way better than nothing.
Yeah.
No, Sam, you're exactly right. Watching Kyle Wunvig, he did a Z-Zone cover walkthrough, and it was so good. I had to get him to repeat a part of it, and I immediately sent it out to all the coaches because it's the first time I've seen it done in a way where you really could get the picture of interchanging positions and not being locked into robotic positioning in the D zone. And whether or not coaches got it, even looked at it, well, it's up to them. But I feel that that's it's just a matter of putting in that kind of time to get the attention of people who might be able to take it further. So it's back to.
I gotta skedaddle. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, Sam.
Cheers.
Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Hey, Sam.
So you got your plan ready yet, Tom?
I got to put it on a piece of paper. I got to put it on the word thing.
Yeah.
And we're playing like Lethbridge. They walked out on us twice. We killed the penalty wrong. So we changed our penalty kill for against them.
Yeah.
Because they have two big fours that walk right over top of the little ones I have. And so we walked through that the other day. We went through it the other day. And we're going to work on one of Yursinov's drills to alternate everybody. You attack and then you defend the other corner. Just to get, defensive skating, toe caps facing, staying D side.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that. Those are kind of the teaching thing today. But then we'll do the one-on-ones, and power play game is the kids love the power play game. You start off with one-on-one, then two-on-one, then two-on-two, then three-on-two. The teams take turns. Everybody plays every position in it, basically. So, and we had a pretty hard skate last practice. We're going to have another one today. And I've got one player I'm sitting. He's only been at half the thing since mid-December. Oh, we had that 2-week break, right? And she opted out of our Saturday game, said she had a sore back. And then she played Sunday, and now she's sick. For the third time in a month, she's sick with something else. So either she's got something she can't get rid of, or who knows. Probably something she can't get rid of, I suppose. One of those reoccurring things. But right now she's fallen behind everybody so much that her fitness and her hockey playing. So I just said, come to practice tonight and then practice all next week, get back in the lineup next week.
Tom, watching the U13s, they're coaching to win now. They're not coaching to develop. So they're doing drills and they can't do tight turns both ways with a puck. And
We do that almost every practice.
And I know that's my point. You practice the individual tactical skill every practice.
Well, I think it's, when you go like Johanny's coding system, and if you go a practice like A, B, C, you get everything done. Like A is individual skills, and that's one of those, right? So that zigzag drill we do and all that, that's an A. They carry the puck, they turn, they do all kinds of different edges. And then B, you're doing passing as a skill. And then C, you're doing game situation drills. And D is games and transition games. And tonight our goalie coach will be there. So I think if coaches kind of followed that template, they wouldn't leave out those fundamental skills that the kids have. You can't run a power play if they can't take and make a pass, right?
Yeah.
So, but they should be getting guidance from Hockey Canada on these kind of things.
Yeah.
But the problem is everybody does their own thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's why in Europe it's so good. You coach in a club, and the club has you're trying to develop players to play in the pro team. So they want to make sure the kids get all the fundamentals. So you don't get a 13-year-old that doesn't know how to take or make a pass because they learned it when they're, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And that, we have to develop a program just like a school. Like in grade 1, you're supposed to teach certain things, right?
Yeah.
If I get a kid in grade 5, I know they should have learned this stuff grade 1, 2, 3, and 4. But there's nothing like that in hockey.
Yeah.
They just suggested things, but there's no required curriculum.
Well, Tom, on Monday, Craig Parrott has arranged for a hockey sense session with Hockey Canada, Corey McNabb and Dean Seymour.
Yeah, Cassie and I are going to it.
Yeah, I'll see you there, and I'm looking forward to that. And I really think that what you're doing and what we're trying to do, that's why I wanted to get Kim on now, because this is what it's all about. It's developing the mind while you develop the skills and the application of tactical skills to decision making under pressure of a game. We just don't seem to connect the dots, and we can be much better at it than we are. That's for sure.
Well, like I said before, having a logical progression, scope and sequence is like, it's not new. It's every school system in the world does it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, sports tends not to. At least when it's organized like that everybody kind of does their own thing in every organization. It's a requirement, I believe, anyway. But,
yeah. Well, Tom, I might see you on the weekend. I'm hoping to spend some time with the family in Blairmore, Alberta, but there's a bit of a flu going around, so I might not make the trip. So I might see you at your game this weekend and watch the other games as well. And keep up the good work, guy.
all righty. You too, Wally. All the best.
All the best.
I see you in the weekend.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.